Oh, we're having a nightmare here, guys, just to start the stream off because we've got the wrong camera up on the screen. This is a really, really, really good start. Welcome into those that can't hear us at the moment. Can't see us because we've got the wrong screen up. So bear with me 1 second while I fix these technical difficulties and hit a little panic.
I was wondering because you can't hear us in there. You went three,
I know.
2, and then you just shot yourself.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it just now and I've still not got us on the screen. So, welcome into another episode of Morons, really just being morons. We have got Daniel on the screen at the moment, but we'll get this fixed imminently so you can see each person individually. But at the moment, it is just Daniel. So, welcome in.
Yours is sexier mugs.
That's it.
Maybe that'll be the difference.
Listen, they're here to listen to us, not look at us anyway, because I don't think we're people that they particularly want to look at.
Speak for yourself.
Speak for yourself. I don't know, like, with the close-up of your face at the moment, I can see what I'm talking about.
Aye.
But thank you very much for joining us on a poorly started show. This week we are talking about Rush Hour and Face Off. But as always, every week I do like to ask what we watched and reviewed last week to see if the morons can remember.
Right, before we move on, is the screen fixed? Or is it still just me?
Not quite yet, but let's pad out the timing whilst I'm fixing this.
You say that, we'll speak amongst ourselves.
Don't worry, guys. Go on. Keep going.
What did we watch last week, actually?
Willy Wonka and Scarface.
Aye. Oh, aye. Aye, people quite disagreed with, people I spoke to wanted Scarface a bit higher, as we expected, but I think it was fair.
I really enjoyed Willy Wonka. I thought that was class. Like I said last week, I was singing along to it. Still got the tune stuck in my head.
Still singing.
Oh, you're going to sing this week, you know?
Oh no, I'm not singing this week. No chance. That can maybe be a Christmas special on my own when I go big time.
Well, we are now on the screen properly now, guys. That will, of course, all be cut and edited out of when it goes on YouTube, so nobody will know anything at all has happened. But for you listening on the podcast, we essentially fucked up. I say we, me. But listen, once in a blue moon I can fuck up, right? I'm allowed that. If Sean can take holidays every 2 weeks, I can take one fuck up every couple months.
You've not said good evening.
I did. I said right at the start as I shat myself as we fucked up. But good evening to the three other morons I can see on the screen. Of course, Sean decided not to grace us with his presence again. But the rumour is he was in a little bit of a tussle at the weekend, got his arse kicked, so he doesn't want to show his face on the screen. So please wish him your his well-being via Instagram, because Twitter is now closed down. So you don't get any direct access to him, but you can take solace in knowing that he got his arse kicked over the weekend.
That was really hard to listen to, by the way. Well, what you've said is just absolute nonsense. But I can see myself on my laptop, so that's all I'm content with. If you can't see me, it must be an issue at your end.
Well,
which is perfectly possible considering the opening 5 minutes we've had of this clusterfuck.
That was fighting talk that could have done you well at the weekend if you used it then, eh? No sitting there behind a laptop, Sean. Anyway, we are here. We are good. We are mostly fit and healthy between us. I think between the five of us, maybe two people are running well.
What happened to you, Hunter?
I had an accident with an icy path and a lot of alcohol, and I've broken my ankle.
He gave me two black eyes, so I broke his ankle.
So we've got one moron that got beat up at the weekend to kind of show his face on the camera. We've got another moron who has cancelled the cinema trip for everyone this week because he now can't leave the house.
No. By the way, nobody got beat up at the weekend before you start putting rumours out. I've got family that listen to this. They'll be on the phone to my mum now, wondering if I'm all right. Oh, Jesus!
God, you were going to say fans there, and you changed it the last second.
No, I was going to say family, but I'll say fans if you want. My fans will be worried about me as well.
Well, let's hope the fans phone your mum and keep making sure that you're okay. But Sean,
I'll be the real creeper if they phone my mum.
Sean, you've got well wishes from me and everyone else here. We wish you all the best, and hopefully the bruising will be away a little bit, and we can see you next week. That'd be ideal.
The only thing that's bruised is my ears listening to this god awful patter. Honestly, tie it up, move on.
Well, Sean, how about you take us straight in and talk about Rush Hour? Give us your thoughts on your experience watching that.
I love Rush Hour. I was glad it got voted for. I think I was quite vocal about that in the chat, about getting it in, and I wanted it to be picked, and it was. I always remember watching Rush Hour 2 more than Rush Hour 1 for some reason, so it was nice to see Rush Hour 1 again. But it is what it is. It's just a kind of daft, kind of kung fu type police comedy. I think Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker work really well together, and it's got moments where it is quite funny. I like obviously Jackie Chan does a lot of his own stunts as well. You've got the wee bloopers at the end, which is I absolutely love that. I always used to love that when I was younger watching this. I always found it hilarious. So I was glad when Daniel had mentioned it, because I'd forgot all about it before we'd watched it. But there's nothing really. It's obviously never going to win an Oscar, this film, for storytelling or any acting performances in it. But it's such an easy watch. You can just literally sit and watch it, and it just absolutely flies by. And that's, I think, the job that it's intended to do.
It's like
really
it's like the most well-known buddy cop type movie that I can think of, like where
it's definitely my favourite in that category. Aye.
So the only one I kind of feel like I like in that is like your Beverly Hills Cop types of movies, but this one is one that you can watch at any point and enjoy it. Like, it doesn't have to be the first time you've watched it or the 10th time. You're still going to enjoy it, and in a movie that you can watch whilst maybe doing the dishes or playing FIFA or something like that.
There's also, it's interesting watching it in this day and age, because there's a lot of kind of casual racism and stuff in it. Like a few wee kind of comments here and there and references that you most definitely wouldn't and shouldn't get away with today. So it is quite interesting seeing that, because that's not something that really sticks in my mind for watching it as a child, because I think kind of language like that at that time was seen as not acceptable, but it was obviously out there, and not just this film, but TV and other films as well. So it was quite interesting seeing that, because I'd completely forgotten the kind of racial remarks that are in this.
Oh, it makes me think of the scene where he's getting the food and he's calling it like, what's this greasy shit, and the guy that's working there's like having a proper go at him. But again, that was one of the more memorable scenes for me growing up watching it. That I found the old guy really, really funny.
Aye, it was good.
In Chinatown, the bit in Chinatown.
Yeah.
I guess.
But this is like it's an interesting film watching now, because you think like, what else do you know Chris Tucker from apart from maybe like this obviously, and then Friday. It's probably the two that you.
Fifth Element.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot he was in the Fifth Element.
He's excellent.
But he plays the same character in every type of film, really. He's only got one range of emotion when it comes to it. And it's not a bad thing. He does it really, really well. And but for me, Jackie Chan's the absolute star of this. He's so funny. And because you know that he does his own stunts and he is that athletic, and all of this choreography probably came up directly from him, for me it makes the film even better. There's loads of really iconic scenes for this, like the wee girl singing in the car, but she's annoying as fuck. And then you're like, who's stealing this kid, man? She'd be defo getting sent back really, really quickly. The scene when he answers the phone, and they've obviously got the bit in the bloopers where he fucks it up all the time. And he's like, who do you think you've got? Chelsea Clinton. Again, one of the best bits from me. It's a good film to watch. I don't think there's much you can say in terms of the plot's obviously a bit ridiculous. It's not designed to make sense the way that we typically review films when it comes to it, but it's an enjoyable action film with some realistic fight scenes in it that make it interesting. Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan play their role brilliantly. It's quality seeing Chris Penn, not Chris Pine. Fucking hell. It's like Chris Penn's 8 Chris Pine. seeing him in a film. He's one of my favourite actors growing up, so it's good to see him in some stuff. He's really, really good as Clive. But I'll let someone else jump in and talk. I've still trying to get over my fuck up at the start, so.
I'll jump in. On you go, Bunzy. You go first.
I've not seen any of the Rush Hour, so like I think touching on what you said about Chris Tucker, Kyle, is that this is the first film that I'd obviously seen him in. So for me, I thought he was like superior to Jackie Chan, but I think that's maybe because it was something brand new to me in that role. I thought like he had so much charisma, like when he was just, I think his acting throughout it was also just like, it was maybe some people would say it was over the top, but it was just that funny that whenever he was on the screen, and I think when the film sort of got further into it, him and Jackie Chan together was, even though the storyline's meant to be serious in terms of a girl being kidnapped, etc., then it wasn't what I was expecting for like an action film, because I just found myself laughing at a lot of it, which wasn't what I was anticipating going in. I think like from the start, where there was the scene at the start when he starts dancing after the diner, I thought that was really funny, because that was just the first time that I sort of figured out what you were going to get as the film progresses, instead of just being loads of action scenes and loads of fighting, etc. I think even just wee silly things, or not silly things, wee small things did well, was like, see when the daughter gets kidnapped, is you would kind of just, when I've seen kind of ones like that before, is that they would just kidnap somebody and there wouldn't really be much that would happen, whereas even where she's trying to like stop herself from getting kidnapped and trying to attack the kidnappers, I thought that was quite even realistic in terms of somebody's going to kidnap you, you're not just going to be like, alright, I'm away. Whereas her trying to like get away from them and fight off them was good. Obviously, she was never going to manage to get away from them. And yeah, the fight scenes I thought were really, really good too. It's like sometimes when I watch films that like these, where there's a lot of shooting, fights, deaths, etc., then I usually come on and say that it was too much. But I think for me, they got everything spot on with that. That there was still like all interactions between the characters, even though it was going to lead to this crescendo at the end. But I thought it was class. I don't think there was any sort of downsides to the film at all. Like you've obviously touched on, is it's not something that portrays itself as that serious. It's something that you can just like watch and it'll just fly in. You'll be laughing quite a lot of the time as well. And although the ending, you kind of knew that Tucker and Chan were going to become the heroes and whatever else. It was kind of although you could sort of see the ending happening, I was sort of on the edge of my seat watching it, which suggests that obviously the ending was done really well, because I know how quite often we watch films and we'll maybe say the ending went too long, or they tried to extend it far too long and it just sort of ended really quickly. Whereas I think this was done perfectly from start to finish. It's probably not going to be the best movie we've watched, because there's ones that have had a lot more better plots maybe. It was something that was really simple, but it was class. I don't really have any down points to say about it whatsoever. And I think Daniel did say that when it got picked, he thought I would love it, which I did. So Daniel obviously knows what I like.
Yeah. I always know in advance if you're going to like something or not. I think I've got your taste down now.
There isn't a love triangle though, or a pregnancy thing, so that was
wait till the sequel. Yeah.
Oh, I'm buzzing there. I need to watch that.
For you.
That's like you, because you were going to go anyway.
I was going to say I'm talking now, so I'll keep talking. You've said a lot. Just like everyone else, I think we're all the perfect age for this film. Like, I'm sure we all loved this when it first came out. I used to watch it over and over again. It's not got many flaws. Like, I watched it again, and we normally pick things apart, especially if it's been a long time since we've seen it. And quite often, things we liked when we were younger, we go and watch them back, and we think, oh wait, it's actually shite, and it's really disappointing. But no, I still like this. I could watch it again. I'm going to watch the sequel at some point this week. Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan are amazing together. It's like everyone's mentioned already. There's a great balance between comedy and action scenes in it. Jackie Chan's fighting and stuff looks awesome, but it's funny at the same time. It's no it never gets too serious. I mean, you never really feel like their lives are properly in danger, but it's not supposed to be like that. And then at the end, I like how it ties it all up, and they go and sit in the, they're waiting their flight together, setting up for the inevitable sequel that is probably just as good as this one. Not often our sequel's just as good, but I would say the second one's just as good as this one. But I also think it's aged pretty well. Like, we're going to talk about some comedies next week, and we might be talking about how well they've aged. And I think, although there is like some of the stuff Sean mentioned, it's still funny. Chris Tucker's just funny. He could be saying anything. Like, it's not what he's saying. It's just him. He's just funny as the character. But yeah, no, I still love this.
He's like watching a stand-up comic constantly, isn't he? Because he's got he plays it well with the body language and the movement and the overreaction. He's like the way he like enunciates his words and stuff. It makes it funny. It's like comedic timing's pretty much on point for it.
See the bit. Sorry, Kyle, I was just going to say, see the bit when you're talking about that, where he goes into the restaurant and he asks to see. I can't read the name. Is it Wang Li? The name I can't mind.
Jun Tao,
that's it. He's sitting in the restaurant, so Wang Li, So he goes up, and then he's obviously getting held by like the big bodyguards and all that, and then he goes, we'll fight like real men. And then he kind of drops the gun a bit, and he just gets kicked in the face, and it's just the facial expression after it was brilliant.
Alright,
what one of y'all kicked me?
Yeah.
Wang Wei is the name of the podcast this week at the moment, by the way.
It was Wang Li.
We're talking. Sean was the one that mentioned at the start about like the racial undertones to certain words and certain phrases going in there, and he just fires in a made up name, makes it sound really inappropriate. Well done, Sean.
Well, that's unfair.
I tell you what, Sean, interrupt me again like that, and you'll be getting our black eye. How's that sound?
I'll just leave that. I'll just leave this chat.
Any good trivia, Hunter?
Sorry?
Any good trivia?
Well, there is a fair bit of trivia, yes. So this was Jackie Chan's first English speaking role in which his audio was not dubbed in over the top, but it was the first time you actually hearing his voice truly recorded on camera. So I thought that was quite an interesting fact.
A good job. Considering that's his first time.
I know. Tucker and Chan were both previously considered for another cop buddy film for Lethal Weapon 4, but obviously I can't remember who that was cast in that one, but they were both considered for that. This is probably the most crazy fact that I discovered on my trivia journey today, not rushing to get it done because I've done nothing else all day. But the film actually inspired the creation of Rotten Tomatoes. So the creator of the Rotten Tomatoes website, I believe he's of Asian origin or descent, was getting our website, was trying to basically get the American reviews so he could send it back to people like he knew in Hong Kong to let them know how Jackie Chan was being perceived in America. And basically from that was how then became blew up from that. It was then all the encoded website was created, and 2 weeks later we had Rotten Tomatoes, which is still going strong to this day.
Alright, okay. I was going to ask, Stephen obviously mentioned about Jackie Chan speaking in the film, is at this obviously near the start, and there's interaction between the two of them, and obviously Tucker just assumes that he doesn't speak English. Do you think that was maybe the reason why they put that scene into the film then? Because obviously nobody would even expect him to just like start.
Possibly, yeah.
Just something I wrote down, but I hadn't considered that obviously.
No, you'd already seen him speak English.
Maybe sort of broken in a couple of words that he did.
Like
a full-blown conversation at that point.
There was one thing I wanted to mention before your more trivia. Kyle, there's loads of amazing buddy cop movies. Like
I know there is, but when I think of them, what I'm saying is this one and jumps out to me as being the buddy cop movie, and then Beverly Hills Cop's the other one that jumps out at me. Like
Beverly Hills Cop
Weapon.
Itself has even got a buddy in their films.
Aye, Eddie Murphy on his own in Beverly Hills Cop. That's not even a buddy cop film.
Right, sorry, Turner and Hooch then, right?
One of them's a dog, but okay.
This is meant to be a movie reviewing thing. He didn't even know buddy cops. This is ridiculous.
Brittany 944 says the conversation is impossible to follow. The accents are too thick. Listen, in this group of friends, we're all far too thick. So we will We'll try and maybe slow it down a little bit for you so you can capture what we're saying.
I actually thought they were talking about the film there. I didn't think that they meant us. That's a bit harsh.
I'm assuming
his accent was going too fast for even us to understand what he was saying there.
I'm very much assuming it's us.
That's not really constructive criticism. We just need to change the way that we talk.
A dialect, yeah. Get a dialect coaching for next week.
Aye, okay. We all need to work on our non-regional diction. Is that what they call it?
Sorry, you were talking too fast here. I didn't understand the word.
Brilliant.
Back to the trivia before we
Go for it.
Go even more. So Jackie Chan was actually almost killed during filming of this. So the scene where the two crates get shoved together and he jumps out, apparently he was only a quarter of a second clear before the crates actually shoved into each other. So might never had a rush hour if Jackie Chan had died during film. And it was
always a risk.
Released in 1998 that featured blue Pepsi cans, which were released later on that year. I can't remember before blue Pepsi.
No, I don't remember that either.
Hold on. You're saying that before 1998, Pepsi cans were a different colour blue?
Yes.
What
Unless
colour?
the cans, I'm only can only go with what I read.
I want to know more. What colour were they?
I don't know. I don't think we could see
The one you updated Wikipedia the day or something and he had pulse back.
I've been doing my day off just to fake the wiki edits to feed my trivia.
That's blowing my mind. So was it like silver or something?
I do remember silver, but that's Diet Pepsi is silver.
Yeah.
I was just going to say it.
Did Diet Pepsi exist before 1998? I'm losing my mind.
Me too.
Right, well,
I have no idea.
Anyway.
Hunter, crack on. Keep going. Give us your thoughts on the film before you come back to the trivia.
Also, so Tucker was not the first person considered for that role. Mark Lawrence and Eddie Murphy both offered it and turned it down. And there was also 3 other names considered before Tucker was eventually cast, which was Dave Chappelle, Will Smith, and Tupac Shakur. But he wouldn't have been alive long enough to complete filming, so this is really wait for Chris Tucker.
That's a surprising one.
Alive? Is that another can of worms we could open up?
So whoever's watched this has just been watching Def Comedy Jam and picked the funniest people from it.
Yeah.
The order.
Yeah.
Fair play. They should have got Hamburger on. He was funny for that. Go on, Hunter. Crack on with some more of your thoughts on it, please, mate.
Yes, well, kind of pretty much going to be echoing kind of what has been said so far. It's simple enough to enjoy. It doesn't take itself too seriously. The camaraderie between Tucker and Chan is superb. But probably has like a genuine friendship, you believe, between the two of them, probably from off camera as well. Some of the action and fight scenes are great. It's not too over the top at times, but there's enough like it keeps you sort of engaged with it whilst it's going on. You're not distracted. You're not taking it too seriously like the film. As I said, the wee lassie is annoying. Like if she had died, that wouldn't have been a great loss to the storyline of the film. I mean, there's times like it's been that like I never watched the first one or the second one. I remember going to the cinema to see the third one. I don't know why. It's just one of those things of let's go see Rush Hour. Like going with a bunch of folk that had seen the first two, and I was bored along just for the day out. So I enjoyed it. I probably will go now. I've got plenty of time in my hands. I can get the full 4 of them done in time these days. So I will probably go and watch them all because it's providing they're all on Netflix. But I said I enjoyed it. It's again, we can't. It's not one of those ones. Like, I think what you touched on, Daniel, with films that we liked when we were younger that we've maybe sort of ripped apart and dissected and we're like, not as good now. As the thing is, back then, I don't think we would have never had, like, compared to Scarface or Fear and Loathing, we would have never had Rush Hour in a category where we thought it was an amazing film. Years that you really enjoyed it. We'd never recommend to somebody, oh, go watch that. It would always be, oh, Scarface, amazing, go watch that. Fear and Loathing, you think. But for this, I would have it as it was always good, but it was never punched above its weight. Maybe you knew about it at the time, you wouldn't say, oh, this is Oscar-winning material. It's not, but it's still great in what it is, and it delivers it well.
There you go. You got any more trivia on that?
From number trivia, no, I need to go and double fact check my blue Pepsi can revelation before that's what anyone false bits of trivia.
You flung that in there as a little bit of blasé trivia, and the boys jumped at it like vultures.
I'm not doubting it. It's just blowing my mind.
Well, one thing that I'd seen there is there was a body count of 12.
Yeah, well, sorry, that is right down with the bottom of my over it.
Well, don't answer for them, Hunter. We'll throw it out there as a question. Out of those 12, how many are by Carter and how many are by Lee?
None.
Carter kills a cop. Does he not kill people at the diner?
Any other
No.
advances, Sean?
I would say none. I think that makes sense, but Daniel's saying none.
Maybe
I can't think he's killing anybody.
So there was
Definitely shot people.
none from Lee, but 2 by Carter. So,
did he kill the main bad guy, like the Asian guy?
Also, he
With
did. I shot him. Mind the say drop a gun, go fight the real men, and then he's took a gun out he's soaking and he's jumped in, shot him.
there you go.
I remember that now.
Sean's watched it. He's not been doing the dishes when he's been watching this film.
My kitchen's not in the living room, or my sink's not in the living room. I don't know how your house is set up, but
Oh, I carry an iPad about with me when I'm watching films. Just carry it around the house. It's fine. Multitasker.
so you watch films and you just carry an iPad about you. What you got on the iPad?
That's what I'm watching the film on the iPad.
Oh, right, okay, sorry. If you're watching on the telly, you just carry an iPad about
Well,
you.
He's flexing, he's doing the dishes.
that's for the
One has the iPad in it.
that's for the football manager that I need to have beside the FIFA whilst I'm doing the dishes and watching the film. I'm a man of many talents. Daniel, what did Instagram have to say?
Yeah, quite a wide range of scores. A couple of 5s. I'm sure there was a 2 or something there. Mostly middle of the pack, and I got a 3.82 overall.
3.82. A 5s are ambitious, people. Who's given that name and shame?
I'll put it out on Instagram later if you want.
Get them slagged right off. Cool. So let's jump in and give it the scores that we believe. So IMDb has this at a 7 out of 10. It's right in the realm of length of film for some people in here. So let's see how we score it. Hunter, let's start off with you and your broken leg.
So I was giving it a 5, but the broken leg down scored it to a 3, so the broken leg wins, so it's a 3 for me.
A 3 for you. The broken leg speaking more sense than Hunter.
Yeah.
Sean?
A 3.75 for me.
3.75. Daniel?
Maybe it's quite surprising, but I'm going for a 4.
A 4. Burnsy?
I'm also going to go with a 4.
4, and then I'm going to come in with the same as Sean at 3.75. Nice solid reviews here, guys. Solid scoring for it as well. I think this is like a very much tick in the box, well done movie.
Alright, see easy.
Glad we watched it.
Burnsy?
That's a 3.7 overall. Hunter's broken leg brings it down.
A 3.7.
I'll
So
be up in a lot longer than Rush Hour score will be.
so 3.7 brings this movie joint 22nd alongside Nightmare on Elm Street, The Hunt, and The Departed.
It's better than The Departed.
It's definitely better than The Departed. So coming in above things like Uncut Gems and Mrs. Doubtfire, and below things like Giangi Angio, Short Term 12, Pan's Labyrinth, and Pulp Fiction. There you go. Good solid, good solid numbers coming in there as well. So that wraps up Rush Hour. Like Hunter said earlier, going and watching number 2 and number 3 is probably a good idea. It's the type of film again that you'll enjoy. They are really good films. Number 2 is, as Daniel said as well, arguably better than number 1.
Alright.
I'll be able to work out and tell if Burnsy's been on and watched it on Netflix because my subtitles keep getting turned on every time Burnsy watches a film. I hate going back in and turn them off.
Oh, I meant to say actually, so I don't know, obviously you must have been the only ones, well, you must have not watched on subtitle skills. So at the start, and obviously they're not speaking English, is that it doesn't come up with the subtitles to tell you what they're saying. So I had to go back to the beginning of the film, turn the subtitles off to get the subtitles that come with the film to show up. I was wondering what was going on. I was like, I can't understand this film now. So I had to actually watch it with subtitles for about 5 minutes. You can imagine how devastating it was.
Oh God, heaven forbid. So we're going to move on to the next movie. We will obviously take a wee second just to plug things like the socials again. Twitter is unfortunately closed down at the moment, so the little Twitter section down there I'll have removed from the screen for next week. That's if I can get it all to work at the same time anyway. That's a big ask. Instagram is still the place to go if you do want to get involved in any of the voting. If you want to give your scores about the movies as well, pop that into Instagram. And if you've got any feedback on the stream so far, that like we got from Brittany earlier, we would appreciate if you just stick it on to Instagram. Please also give us a download on the podcast. Podcasts are going really strong at the moment. We're over 220 downloads now. You'll find us on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music. You'll essentially find us in most of the good places. Spotify seems to be the strongest one, so please go on, give us a follow, and download the podcast as soon as they're uploaded. We would appreciate that. Face Off, guys. I've been so excited to talk this. After, I don't know how many years of going back and watching this film, with the knowledge of me remembering that it's ridiculous, to come back and watch it again in 2021 was a real eye opener. But before we go into it, it's to give a bit of background for those that haven't seen it. I just went on the presumption that everybody had seen Rush Hour anyway. Face Off. So to foil a terrorist plot, an FBI agent undergoes a facial transplant surgery to assume the identity of the criminal mastermind who murdered his only son. But the criminal wakes up prematurely and seeks revenge. Starring John Travolta and Nicolas Cage, which is a fucking minefield in its own. That's a whole other conversation. Out in 1997, guys. I was only 10 when this came out, which is weird because I feel like I've vivid memories of watching this when I was younger. Maybe something that I watched watched and repeat. I'm going to jump in, since he came first on the last conversation. We're going to go straight to Sean again and get Sean's thoughts.
So I'd never seen this and I didn't really know anything about it. I just decided to just go in and watch it. So you can imagine my surprise when the moving of the face came up, which was just really, really, really stupid.
Oh no.
And obviously that's when I text in the chat saying this is just fucking stupid. And if I was watching that in my own time and just never did, just wasn't doing this, I would have just turned it off. Really, really stupid. I don't know who the fuck came up with that. But anyway, so when they done it, and then obviously of course my thought was when he puts the face on him, I'm thinking, but they don't sound like the person. Of course, they had a box for that. Obviously, it's miraculously changed their voice, unless they squeezed their throat or whatever it was, and then it went a bit funky. Just really, really, really daft. It's got 90s written all over it for me. 90s, just so many stupid things happening in films. Once that happened and I got over that, I found it settled down quite. It was all right. Obviously, the bomb plot didn't last as long as what I thought it would. That just kind of went out the window, and I might have missed something, but I didn't really understand why his first act as Sean, the character, was to go and dismantle the bomb. Obviously, he took the praise for it and all that. And then there's a really awkward scene where he goes for his daughter. Laurie came in the room at that point. She'd watched the first 20 minutes. She hadn't seen the face exchange, so she was really confused as to why it looked like he was going to go off with his daughter. I had to explain to her, and she just shook her head and walked out the room again. It was just really, really. I mean, the person who wrote this must have been high as fuck, and they've scribbled something doing on a bit of paper on a Saturday night when they're sitting drinking their cell and smoking whatever, and then they just ran with it on the Sunday morning. That's what this is like. It's just so ridiculous. Even once the bomb was disposed of, it's then obviously between the two of them trying to get back, trying to get each other or whatever once he escapes from the prison. And again, he must be some swimmer. He should maybe try it for the Olympics after escaping for that rig. And he just managing to swim to safety. And what seemed to be the space of about 8 minutes, or however quick it was. So fair play to him. He got a career in the Olympics after this anyway. Just a really, really daft action film that I think we've kind of covered a couple since we've been doing this. Point Break comes to mind as well. But once, like, I tried to remove like the stupidity to one side and just kind of watch it as for just what it was. But I found the action seems to be quite over the top. But that was to be expected considering the kind of time that it came out. I thought the ending was totally stupid. They just ended up taking in that wee boy to replace his dead son. The thing with the scar, I thought that was going to play more of a role in it, where he pointed out, says, I want to make sure I have this scar after it. I thought that's how it was going to be found. I thought that's how his wife was going to basically find out that he was actually the husband or whatever, but then at the end he just says, I don't need it, and he's all happy because he's about to get his face transplanted again. Definitely one of the strangest action films I've watched, just for the whole kind of face thing. I really can't get over that, and it's just, I just thought it was really fucking stupid. And of course they got it all fixed at the end, even though the original Doctor who done it, this break-in thing that was explained at the start of the film, he was killed, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
The Doctor who done it. So again, there's always a guy in reserve who's been practicing this for many years, I'm assuming. But I thought it was really, really stupid. Action scenes for me were over the top and daft. The ending was shite. I thought John Travolta was absolutely horrible in this. I really didn't like him in this at all. Even when he was portraying Sean and when he was portraying, sorry, his name's escaped me, Nicolas Cage's character, I thought John Travolta was absolutely, I thought he was rancid in this. I really didn't like him at all. Just thought he was terrible. Nicolas Cage was just Nicolas Cage, same facial expressions all the time and very dull, boring voice.
It's such a funny concept though, in terms of those two actors, arguably some of the most ridiculous actors that we've got in Hollywood, trying to beat each other as well. So like, I don't know, it's just a funny one to watch because you know how flamboyant and charismatic these two are, and I think they both go over the top to outdo each other on it. I can't decide who's more ridiculous.
Yeah, it is very, very, and there's just so, like, the whole film just over the top. Like the scene where he comes up with a plan to get those big boots off him in that prison, and he goes in and the boys just had that electric shock into his head and he's spewing and all of that stuff. He's out cold, and 30 seconds later he's back up and he's smacking the guard in the head. It's just wee things like I just totally, like, I don't know what you're like with it, but I just totally lose interest and just, and I know it's an action film and there's going to be a little outrageous stuff, but I just find myself just sitting shaking my head at bits like that. I'm like, it's just so ridiculous. Anyway, I'll let somebody else talk now. I've rambled on a bit.
This is going to be 2 weeks in a row, but I'm with Sean on this, man. Like, this is so fucking stupid. Like, this might be the most fucking stupid film. Like, one thing Sean mentioned, he was like, oh, the bomb thing, that never went anywhere. This is like 6 films worth of plots.
Mm-hmm.
There's a full maximum security prison escape inside this film. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just a film on its own. Like, in my memory, there was a lot more time in that prison and a lot less time than them all just like running about. But issues that I've got with this, I've got a list of them. Magnet boots. Let's start off with magnet boots, right? So there's all metal prison, and they've got magnet boots so they can't run away, right? That bit's fine. But then the very first fight, he's like kicking them in the bollocks and like his feet and like stomping on them. you're not supposed to be able to move your fucking feet. Like, that's the whole point. Like,
You're missing all the Ric Flair woos that he gives as he's hitting the guy as well.
Aye, man. See, the thing is, this is where I'm going to have contrast and views on this, right? Because while all that stupid shit's going on, it's always fun watching Nicolas Cage. So, like, it's still fun to watch Nicolas Cage act like a fucking maniac, which is quite funny. But, like, the escape for the prison, like Sean said, like, how do they get back for there? Just tell us something. Like, don't let us assume that he's swam back for the middle of the fucking ocean off the, like, an oil rig. Like, it's just fucking mental. And this may be a maximum security prison. There's just one helicopter, no boats, nothing surrounding the place or nothing. Fucking madness. But no, the most ridiculous thing about all of this for me is obviously they think this bomb's going to go off, right? And it's, well, the brother will know what it is, we could interrogate him. Or you could be him. You need to swap your face with him. That's the only other option. Is that you need to be that guy. You need to be him and then go to fucking prison as him.
Because it seemed as if Daniel as well, it's like, it was as if they just came up with that on a whim. It'd be like, right, we can't get in route him. Ken, what? This is a good idea. It wasn't as if they went long-winded and thought, right, ran out of ideas and thought, this is the last option. As if it was the second option, apart from talking.
They've got the date at that point, so he's managed to find out off the accomplice the date that this bomb is to be going off. Any normal police investigation book of what is going on in and around the city on that they could be trying to blow up.
Yeah.
No, you need to swap faces.
No, but before then, right, it would make sense if it was after he'd interrogated all those people, right? But he was given the option before any of that happened. Yeah. They hadn't even asked the guy a question yet, and they were like, you're going to need to swap faces. Like, that's it. Nothing else is going to work. You're going to need to have his face.
What happened?
I know it's obviously meant to be like state of the art, but the fact that he gets the face, and then he's just looking in the mirror, and then he has a bit of a mental breakdown, but then he's sound. Nate Brown, he's saying nothing, he's had liposuction, he's changed his full body, his scars away. They make it look like he's just swapped his face, but his full body's like changed.
It's like if somebody came up to you and said this was going to happen, and they're like, and there'll be three folk then, sure it's going to go through your head like, this could go wrong, and I could be stuck with it. You're not going to be like, that's sound, there's threes that know about it, it'll all come out swimmingly, I'll be able to get sorted. There was, like you said, he had a wee thought about it, like, should I go and do it? And then he was like, it didn't even cross his mind that anything could go wrong and he could be stuck with this. It was as if it was like a wee holiday or something was going on.
No.
Madness.
It's so bizarre.
But you've also got that his brother in the prison instantly knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
obviously, he's not him. It's like, it's such a stupid idea. It was never going to work. Like, what a stupid idea.
It's like when he walks in and like he's acknowledged by one of the other prisoners and he disregards him, and then obviously that's a case of like he's then talking to him like he's a cop who's put him away, and it is fucked up. And then the brother's asking questions about his fucking medication and stuff like that. It's like if you've just seen your brother who you thought was dead, you aren't going to initially have that thought of this is wrong, but then obviously something's not being right for him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. I didn't know he was dead. That was the whole point. They kept that bit a secret.
But that also confused me because other people mentioned that he was dead throughout it. Some people said he wasn't. It wasn't consistent for that bit as well.
And like, see when he woke up and he's meant to have no face. Like, they took his nose off and everything. Like, he could just have a hole where his nose was. Like, he's got bandages in the perfectly formed nose. Like, just. I wonder if Steve is going to be so stupid. Just like be consistent with the stupid bits, and like it just be as outrageous as it should be. He should have had a big hole in the middle of his face, and he shouldn't be able to smoke cigarettes. He's got no fucking lips.
I was going to say that.
For this, like, anyway.
And also, like, they address the fact of the recovery with the newfangled drug that takes away all bruising and inflammation straight away.
They should be fucking multi-billionaires. Why are they bothering with this shit? Just be selling that. But I know, I mean, Yeah, it's been a long time since I've watched it. I'm very much in Sean's camp here. Like, even the action scenes were like so long and drawn out. That speedboat scene went on for so long. How many different ways can you go from the front to the back of a speedboat? Like, it was just boring after the way. It felt like doing a really long mission on Grand Theft Auto that you just have to get through. That's what I was like watching.
Or just playing the Red Dead at all.
Aye, where you've got to go on a horse for fucking ages to get somewhere. You're like, come on, like, just get on with it.
The film itself is 2 hours and 18 minutes long, which surprised me when I seen how long it was.
Astonishingly long, like, unbelievably long for what it is. Again, it's because there's like 7 plots. Like, there's no need for it. What was with the bald guy getting shot in the neck and then getting off with his sister? Like, just that's when his sister did it. None of this is needed. Like Sean said, this is somebody who was high as fuck. Going, can you imagine? Wait, listen, dude, listen, man, listen. Imagine if my face was on your face. Imagine that. Let's make a film of that. Like, that's what this is like. It's fucking nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. How was this ever made? I'm getting more annoyed as we go through it. Somebody else talk.
Hey, I'll go then. When I watched this, I was kind of coming away from it thinking I must be missing something. I expect to come on and you were going to like see how good it was, whereas obviously you haven't. I think I'm kind of in the middle. It's like it was more. I thought it was funny, but it wasn't funny because the reason I think the film was supposed to be funny. It was just funny because it was that ridiculous, and like you've touched on all the plot holes, which they weren't making this film to so you come on and see how many plot holes there was in the film. Like throughout it, I think that was why I did enjoy it to an extent, because it was just that over the top ridiculous. As like the plot was just so random. I feel like compared to Russia, you didn't really. They tried to give you a bit of insight into the characters, but it was really minimal. The action scenes, like Daniel touched on, they were too often and too long, and not a lot happened really in them either. Like there were so many action scenes that loads of people might have been involved in, and there was maybe some shootings and deaths or whatever, but you'd never seen the characters on screen before that point anyway, so you're like, who cares? Like, 20 folk I might be saying this and there's hardly any deaths, but it felt as if there was a lot of people that did die, but there was no need for that. I might have shooting and action scenes. Like at the start, it's like, they also tried to set it up a wee bit with his son dying, but then they just skipped 6 years into the future. I'm like, what happened between the 6 years that was in? They just like sit at home for six years and no bother doing anything, and then he thinks
there was no need to add it. The guy's a terrorist. It's still there that he sniped the guy's son. Like, it's too much. It's too stupid. Sorry, go on, Burns.
I felt like the bits where they tried to like obviously. Once I got over the bit of the swap in the faces just being that random, and then where they actually showed you like what their lives were like when they were their normal when they were themselves before then, I thought that was a wee bit interesting because you also just saw the complete contrast in characters in terms of how what Archer was before. He was obviously when he was becoming Troy. As you could see, he kind of felt quite guilty at points in it, whereas obviously the person that became Archer and was Troy to begin with, he was just like loving his life and just like sleeping with the guy's wife, and then but the bit where it's like when you thought he was going to like go off with his daughter, and that was just so uncomfortable and creepy. It was just like, although it was only like half a 30 seconds, it just felt so uncomfortable.
But they also tried to make they made him look cool with the smoking and the way he was talking. They tried to make it that, oh, actually, this is a better husband and father, but he's the terrorist wearing the nice guy's face. But
and then it was as well that none of
the bit when you get the daughter at night, as if you would do that if you got protection here, you have that fucking knife.
Yeah. And then, like, when the family didn't even, they obviously thought, oh, he's a bit different, and they're just like, oh, I've changed a wee bit since I've been away. All right, cool. Just move on for that. Just another ridiculous thing. Imagine if, I didn't smoke. Imagine if I just came in and started smoking 50 a day in front of you. You wouldn't just be like, oh, it's just, even just something as simple as that, you'd be thinking, you wouldn't think I had my face swapped with somebody else right now, but you would think
What are they going to suspect? They're never going to suspect
Of course,
that
we're
he's
going
a terrorist.
I know.
Because it's fucking stupid.
Oh,
Sorry.
just what I remember when they're getting the face swap, how fucking creepy was the body hair? That little
Why?
square in their chest, and that was it. Everything else is silky smooth, but they've both got this fucking square hairy as fuck bit. It's really, really weird. It's totally blown my mind a little bit. Thinking back now, totally forgetting that was a brother and sister that are total winching at the end when they get shot in the neck.
See, I never clicked onto that. I never clicked onto that when watching the film. I don't know if I missed something. It was only after reading about the film that I was like, that was brother and sister. Like, I don't know if I've just remember there was just something I completely misread, and then like kind of as Daniel Sean touched on, the ending was just random too. That he's just like, obviously they've spoke about it in the scenes before it. How he's like, I'm going to look after that your kid and whatever, but just turn up at the house. It was if it was one of those endings that they got to the end and they thought, right, we need to add something else in it instead of cutting it before that point. It just seemed as if the ending went a wee bit too long, and then the fight scenes were far too long as well. And like you said, Kel, it felt as if it was like watching it after it felt as if it was like a 2.5, 3 hour film instead of like just over 2 hours. I don't know how they managed to make a film shortish, but actually make it feel as if it was really long.
There's so many subplots you could have just taken out.
Aye, it wasn't that bad, but it was just that ridiculous and over the top, which it was just too much.
See, just to add on to your point there, Kyle, right? See, if this was just like, okay, they swap faces, fair enough, right? Let's suspend our disbelief and all that.
Mhm.
And then he goes into prison, and then something fucks up, and you've got John Travolta out of prison and Nicolas Cage in prison. And then you do 90 minutes of that movie until he eventually gets out and catches him. Like, that would be a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, he's in and out of prison, then there's a bomb, and then there's the fucking this, and then there's the that, and then there's him being infiltrating the criminals with the taking all the drugs, and there's all the wee subplots about shagging the wife, and it's just fucking mental.
Aye. It's like they've let John Travolta and Nicolas Cage write it.
Aye, that's what it's like.
They two and John Woo in a room together, and this is what's came out.
I was just going to finish off that.
Explosion button all the time. Boom, boom, boom. That's all he does. Explosions, explosions, explosions.
Sorry, Burnsy.
I was just going to add on to finish off. It's like I disagree with Sean in terms. I thought John Travolta and Nicolas Cage were actually both pretty good in it. Like, it was more. I thought they acted quite. Obviously, it was meant to be something that ridiculous over the top, and they made it feel like that as well. Whereas it would be even far worse if it was like they were acting as if this was a normal thing to be doing. Whereas it was just as. I don't understand how you could actually get to the stage of making a film about this. That's the more thing that blew my mind.
They two, like, I get what Sean's meaning, right? They are over the top, but I think that's what they two actors bring. There isn't, you can't really take them that seriously in other things. I don't know if any other two actors would have made this film. I don't know. Would you say this is a cult status film? It's well received.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was getting arguments at work today about it because I was they were talking about it with folk at work, and I mentioned that what my score was going to be, and some of my thoughts. And folk love this film. Folk think like this is like, I think it is just very much of nostalgia, and it reminds you of a good time in your life when you were young and you watched this film, more than how good this film actually is.
Well, just looking it out, so it's rated higher than Rush Hour on IMDb. So this gets a 7.2 to Rush Hour 7. This is also an Oscar-nominated movie.
For what?
What do you think this is nominated in the Oscars for? Hunter, don't answer.
I won't.
Best explosions.
So it's best effects and sound effects editing.
No.
But then,
I mean, to be fair, they really managed to make Nicolas Cage look like John Travolta.
That's true. And vice versa.
Aye, and vice versa. That's good makeup.
As if they had them both there at the same time, eh? And they just...
I know.
This would have been a far funnier film if they'd put like terrible makeup on each of them and let them be like change their faces. That would have been so much fucking funnier.
Have
And everyone still didn't even notice the differences. They just went along with it.
Everyone plays along like they look exactly like them, but they've just got like terrible masks on.
You could have John Travolta's face the way it is nowadays.
Imagine you went to see this at the pictures and you went to the toilet at the wrong time. Like, you would just be so confused for the rest of the film. Fuck that.
I mean, if you miss 30 seconds of this film, the whole 5 minutes, 10 hours about this bomb, and then you miss 30 seconds, the bomb's nothing to do with it anymore.
Aye, that was I completely forgot even there was a bomb, actually, and only watched it the day. It was just because there was that mother match going on that it just completely went out of my mind.
It's when he's like taking his jacket off and dancing about to disarm this bomb. He's just got that much confidence. And we've not even brought up the fact that he was dressed as a priest and groping the lassie and stuff.
Aye.
Honestly, whoever wrote this is just like sitting every single scene. They're like, "Do you think we'll get away with this? Do you think they'd let us do this? Do you think we'll be able to do this?" Like, imagine if he perms on like a little Catholic schoolgirl when he's a priest. Imagine that. Imagine if he perms on the guy's daughter whilst he's the dad. Imagine that. That's mental.
And the daughter's into it.
Weird. Super fucking weird, man. It's a weird film. This is one of the weirdest films we've ever watched, I think. When you really think about it, it's fucking mental.
Hunter, share some of your thoughts, my friend.
It is. I was thinking I would be going into this and scoring it favourably, maybe like we did with Conair for the slice of nostalgia. But it's just too mental at times. It's just the things we've all touched on. It's like you can't even enjoy them because they're that far-fetched or that stupid, and they end up taking stuff away from the story because, as you said, there's that many subplots and different sections to this film. Like, as I said, if we maybe focused on 2 or 3 rather than having 7 or 8 of these things going on, that it's just, you don't get a chance to enjoy a proper build-up or a proper end to each one of these sub-stories within this film. It's like, oh, but that's it, so he's got to, as you said, this prison, but he's back on the mainland, and not an island has been battered by anyone. That said, I think Cage's quality in it, like, just because maybe because I think he's just been beamed that much that character, you see that as just him being Nicolas Cage. I think that's maybe why. But I mean, as you say, in the grand scheme of things, as has been proven, it's not going to get any. There's no award worth the acting at the end of the day, is it? It's just, I guess, but is that because to do with the far-fetchedness of the film itself? But it hurts your brain thinking back at everything that goes on in this film, and it's not because it's like a proper brain thinker of a film. It's just, I think it's because it's that dumb and over the top that it hurts your brain thinking, why have I just suffered through this for 220 minutes?
That's it.
Like, well, richer than what I would have started watching it.
It's a wonder to why they weren't nominated in the best acting leading role that year with Jack Nicholson and As Good as It Gets and Matt Damon and Good Will Hunting. I mean, they should have been in there all amongst them. Saying that,
well, who would get the supporting actor nomination? That's the thing.
Well, you go. Robin Williams is in there. Go for him. For Good Will Hunting, a film that I've never seen.
What?
I knew that would piss somebody off. I knew that would bite somebody there.
No, I'm just surprised. It's never been on a boat either.
Never seen it. But maybe
I've never seen it either.
Have you never seen it either, Sean?
No.
You'll both love it. Like, it's right up both your streets. You'll both. There's very few films I would say you'll both like it, and that's one of them.
Have you seen it, Bunzy?
No, I just assumed it would be taken as a given that I hadn't seen it though.
I just assumed that also.
I know Hunter's definitely seen it.
I have seen it.
Oh well, there you go. A sidetrack from the movie that we are discussing. Hunter, just jump in with some trivia on this. I'm eager to know if there was any other actors under consideration for this role.
There was, and I think you'll know the 2 names that I have in front of me. I can put it out to.
I had to look, I know them, so I'll keep quiet.
Was Nicolas Cage's character going to be Jim Carrey? Because I think he'd be good at that.
So,
I'm just assuming one of them's Keanu Reeves.
nope, not this one.
Will Smith?
Nope,
Kevin
Eminem.
Costner.
nope.
I'm trying to think of actors that typically come up in these conversations when we're going through them.
Aye, because these two were they weren't at their peak at this point, were they? They were sort of on the downturn.
No, I would
Yeah.
say that either of them are come up quite often. The two that were suggested.
Nah, the two I considered, you've got to kind of think a bit more left field and older.
Oh.
Bruce Willis.
No,
Harrison
But-
Ford.
no.
You're losing me now.
Aye, tell us.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, for fuck's sake. That makes so much sense. Could you imagine trying to do Face Off with Arnold Schwarzenegger's body and try to convince people that...
He's like, I mean, fucking hell. That just shows you, right, that they didn't give a fuck when they were making this film. The fact that they considered those two, and they were willing to just go, aye, we'll just pretend that we changed their skeletons as well.
Yeah.
Still
Well,
call
but
it Face Off, but
Those two, I think, were actually in line to play them. They never got to play it, but as until John Woo came in to direct, he went, no, they won't be as believable. Let's bring in Travolta and Cage.
Who...
he wanted to make it more fucking believable.
Maybe change the plot a wee bit.
Just dissolve the plot. Just make it believable
Oh,
and don't
man.
release the movie.
There was a former movie club favourite turned down the role of Pollux Troy, the brother. He's appeared in several films that we have reviewed.
Oh.
Oh, a favourite.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe it's not Daniel's favourite, as he slates him every time he's on film.
Oh, Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
I was also going to say Kevin Costner there. Just on Pollux Troy. So the actor that plays him, whatever big hit movie there is he in?
No idea.
Oh, I recognise his face.
Well, that there, boys, you're looking at is Gavin Harris from Goal.
No way.
That's
Is
Gavin Harris, yep.
When you
I've
say
never
big
heard
film,
Listen,
in actual good movies somewhere. I've seen him in other things.
he's in American Hustle as well, but listen, Goal's a masterpiece.
Goal 1 and 2. Just the third one never got made, though. It's just
Listen,
not.
Santiago Munoz is actually at Newcastle in real life.
See, the type of people that like goal are the type of people that play that story mode on FIFA. I mean,
Leave Hunter Lane, eh?
I know, I've suffered enough this week.
Keep going with your trivia, Hunter, before Daniel ruins it for us.
Yeah. So the magnetic boots, which we've been highly praising so far in the review this evening, have actually been used in a film before. They were used by the Goombas in the Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Oh, for fuck's sake. That is one of the worst movies ever made.
aye.
Ever.
That's been on a boat before. I was worried we were going to have to watch that one week.
Aye, we did that. It was a video game week or something.
Yeah.
It feels like the kind of film that I would add to my list of movies for us to watch.
Oh, so bad. So bad.
It's funny because obviously the guy that plays Luigi in it, what's he? I can never pronounce his surname. Oh,
John Turturro.
it's John. Starts with an L.
Leguizamo. John Leguizamo.
That's the one. I was literally just loading as you said that. Yeah, he plays Luigi in it as well. He's a really good actor.
He's good at loads of stuff.
John Wick. Keep going, Hunter.
Right, so also, over the course of the film, so the characters, Archer and Troy, they only ever meet 4 times in the whole film. Just to be fucking then drag it out for their 20 minutes of whatever it was.
Two and a bit film.
Yeah, but they only meet 4 times. Quite surprisingly enough that they got nominated for the Oscar for this, but what I've read was that most of the stunts were done without the use of any digital effects. And I'm like, you kind of actually like an Oscar nomination.
Tough year for the Oscars that year.
Aye.
Just on the effects, one thing we've not mentioned that I'm going to give it praise for, I thought was really cool, is the shooting in the mirror scene.
Aye.
Yeah,
It's quite cool. It's a standout from the movie.
Aye. It was a weird. You could tell again that they just had that one idea, and it was just so convoluted to get him into a big hall with a mirror. Like none of it made any sense. So,
like, when you think about it, like that mirror on both sides, it's just bizarre. As Daniel said, that's just. That just makes me not like it even more.
It's
just
you've hit the nail on the head of that's been one of their bullet points on their brain mapping or whatever they've been doing at that time. And
it's probably
Sorry. No, you go.
I was just going to say, it's probably the first thing they wrote down before the face swapping.
I've seen this idea where you're going to shoot yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
I'm actually gutted that nobody likes this, because I was coming on here thinking there was going to be an argument about it instead of everyone just disliking it.
I thought Kyle was going to still love this, but
I watched it laughing is probably the best way to describe it. I watched this chuckling away, thinking. But I don't even remember liking it that well when I was younger. But I remember it being crazily popular. And there was so much stuff that I forgot happens in the film that I only remembered very, very little of what actually went on. The bomb plot passed me by. Like, I remembered the face swapping bit. Forgot they even went to a prison. I remember the shooting scene with the mirrors, and then I remembered his daughter stabbing him. That was literally about it. Which would have probably made a better film just taking those little bits out of it.
Yeah.
Madness.
Anything else to add on there?
See, like, start. I forgot to mention. No one's mentioned this, right? But see when they're chasing the plane with all the cars. And that goes on for fucking ages. Like, how many times does he hang out the plane and then he nearly gets him, then someone else, and then he nearly gets him, then someone else, and then now he's in a helicopter. Like, fucking hell, man. And
I actually said to Laurie, like, how long is that runway?
And he's hanging out a plane that's going at however. Think about how loud a fucking plane is. And he's shouting at John Zavolta, who's shouting back at him. It's like, I'm done with this film.
Well, Hunter, if you've not got anything else to add in terms of trivia, we can jump on to scoring it.
Probably nothing that's going, nothing of any significance. Just that Cage and Travolta had spent 2 weeks together before filming to pick up each other's sort of mannerisms. But you expect that anyway. But maybe should have spent a bit longer, in my opinion.
John Woo's had 15 explosions in the time that we've taken to discuss this, guys. What did Instagram have to say about this one?
This also got like a 5 here and there. People really like this, man. It did get some low scores as well and some reasonable ones, but it scored slightly higher than Rush Hour at 3.93.
This is crazy that Instagram scored it higher than Rush Hour. IMDb scored it higher than Rush Hour. Now, what's the chances of the morons scoring it higher than Rush Hour?
Well, we're fucking idiots, apparently, so what do we know?
I know the morons for nothing, so...
Listen, somebody couldn't even get the fucking screen on to start with the stream way. It's not like we've been doing this for months and months. Hunter, we'll come to you first.
So there is a 5 in my score. It's also followed by a 1 point in front of it, so 1.5 for me.
1 point. I'm going to take your first answer of 5. Sean?
I'm going to give it a 1, which is quite generous, I feel.
I love when Sean dislikes a movie because he fucking hates it. There's no.
Well, there's never been to the road with Sean. It's either or everything or nothing.
That is quite accurate. Maybe it's my own fault, but.
So I didn't enjoy it. 0. Fuck it. It's the same as Zulu Dawn. Hey, Daniel.
I'm not going quite as low as Sean because for comedy value, I did find myself entertained at times by how stupid it was. So I'm going to give it a 1.75.
A 1.75. Burnsy?
Similar to Daniel. I'm going to give it slightly higher of a 2.
coming in at a 2. So, Bunzi, you're going to be scoring at the highest mark out of everybody. I'll also give it a 1.75. A little bit of nostalgia, a little bit of comedy in there, but a fucking ridiculously stupid film. What does that give us then overall, Bunzi?
That's a 1.6 overall.
Oh man.
I can feel it in the comments already.
A 1.6 overall, guys. So to go back to the leaderboard there, now this is joint 76 on our list with 28 days later. Now, Daniel, that's a post for you for Instagram. We'll put they two in the same bracket, but both incredibly shite. Movies slightly above this are Shutter Island, Pet Sematary, and The Five Bloods, and just below it are Insidious and The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
That's apart from the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, that's good company for it. It's in a good wee place. It deserves to be where it is.
Oh, it's...
No, I would say it's quite similar to 28 Days Later as well. Like we've scored it wise as well. I think that's pretty much bang on.
Do you think it's similar to things like No Country for Old Men, Burnsy?
It's better than that rubbish.
But you mentioned Days Later. That's another one. People always like to think that's good, but it's fucking shite.
Well,
that wasn't good at all, was it?
Hunter, one for you to take away for Laura there. It's still above Point Break, which is sitting at number 79 on our list. So Face Off is better than Point Break, and I think you might have scored Point Break a little bit higher. Actually, you brought that list up for Point Break. That should have been lower.
Okay, I'll take the blame for that one.
So 2 movies done, not one of them any threat to our top 10. We need to get some more movies so that we can start getting that No Country for Old Men further down the list. We are working to get it outside of the top 20 completely. That would be ideal. Well, There Will Be Blood's not far from being knocked out of the top 20, so that will come. It will come.
Why do you pick on me? Like, I don't understand. See,
It's just funny. It's funny. So, guys, that brings us to the end of those 2 movies. Just a quick recap there. 3.7 for Rush Hour and a 1.6 for Face Off. If you've got any thoughts on that at all, please just comment them on our Instagram. We'll put our scores up either tonight or tomorrow. Daniel will get them up with the individual scores in there, so feel free to air your abuse towards us. Leave Sean alone for a little bit. He's a bit battered and bruised, so don't give him too much. But we are going to talk about the movies that we have got coming up for next week. So we did have a little change of plan from what we spun when we done the wheel spin. Originally we did land on Cinema that had just got added that week, and we were absolutely buzzing to do this, but Twinkle Toes has decided to go out and break his leg, so because he can't make the trip across to go to the cinema, we've decided to go fully in with the comedy. So we did have a finalist when it comes to the comedy on that side of the vote. We ended up with Superbad and Bridesmaids. Superbad was the original winner, so I'm absolutely buzzing the fact that we're not going to cinema and we get to watch Bridesmaids, because I was going to watch it anyway. The cinema trip will probably be pushed back until the new year when Hop Along can get back up onto 2 legs.
Yes.
There we go. So guys, are we spinning the wheel then? Seeing what we've got coming up for next week? What are we hoping for?
It's going to be half Christmas, so we're going to do a Christmas side of the vote and whatever category comes up in your wheel.
There you go. So you save me explaining that as it comes up on the screen. The first half, there's going to be one half full of Christmas movies on the run-up, and the second half is going to be determined by the wheel spin. So that will pop up on the screen in just a little second. And there you shall see it now. So, the categories we've still got in there is the 5 morons. We've got critics versus audience, as we know from Rotten Tomatoes now coming in because of Rush Hour. Critically acclaimed, unseen by all, romance, over and under versus and followers' choice. So the wheel is spinning, guys. I'm hoping for mine. Give me my choices, please. Oh, Burnsy, you're going to love this. It's not quite your choices, but we do have Romance.
Oh, smashing.
So
I'm just glad it's only going to be one film, though. We need to have, I think we should do 3 films for that week, then. I'm just waiting for Sean to say it's not happening. That was like...
Yeah, we might get a romantic Christmas movie as well. You never know.
That's what we should try and do.
We're going to end up with fucking Love Actually in The Notebook or something like that, eh? Just 5 guys greeting on the stream as we're talking about these films. Listen,
I'm pleased with that.
as all 5 of us are well-known romantics, I think these will be really good films for us to watch. Our partners can definitely attest to how romantic we can be.
I genuinely hate romance. Like, I just...
Not the films, just in general.
I'm like the least romantic person in the world. It actually makes me feel fucking sick.
I genuinely hate romance. Could be the name on the stream now. Oh well, you're lucky,
To
lady.
be fair, Sean, like you did go sound romantic on Saturday. You went home and got Laurie butter, and then came back to the pub 20 minutes later when she wasn't feeling well. That was romantic, that for you.
Aye, butter and bin bags.
Didn't even miss around the drink. It was away that long.
Bags, what the fuck were you doing?
She wanted toast and she was having a clear out of clays. So the bin bags were for the toast, the butter was for the clays.
Oh, well,
The bin bags were for the... Wait. The bin bags were for the toast and the butter was for the glaze.
Aye.
Oh, for fuck's sake, guys. Listen, we went off on another tangent as we're coming to the end of this stream. I was well informed that the last 6 minutes of last week's podcast and stream was the funniest that we've had, but I'm in danger of this descending into madness again as we try to unravel what Sean's just explained. Guys, thank you very much for taking the time to spend with us. Thanks for sticking with us after the initial fuck up by one of the morons when it came to getting the stream sorted. But we have finally finished Bridesmaids and Superbad for next week. We will see you next Monday. Bye.
Yeah.
Cheers, bye.